Have you been wondering why Amber Heard just wasn't believed? Why so many people thought that she just wasn't credible? I have. Clearly, the bulk of people and all of the members of the jury believed Johnny Depp and did not believe Amber Heard. Why was that? What I want to do is start to unravel that by going through the specific testimony in the case and looking at where and how Amber Heard became not credible and not believable. I'm in a series on this, so you want to be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing this with several of the specific pieces of evidence. Hi, everybody. I'm Harvard Lawyer Lee, and this channel is all about taking the lawsuits that are in today's news and making them understandable for everyone. When life meets law, let's talk. Now, it's a lot easier to use evidence that you physically have with the jury. It's a lot easier to show a jury a photograph or a bloody knife and say, here, this is evidence, you should believe this. But the evidence I'm going to talk about today that hurt Amber's credibility was evidence about what she did not have. That's actually harder to use, but it was very effectively done to destroy Amber's credibility in the case. In this case, it wasn't just medical records that were missing, although that was definitely the key point. It was also photographs that were missing. And you're going to watch Camille Vasquez lead Amber Heard up to the finale, where we can see that there ought to be medical records, there ought to be photographs, and they're just not there. So let's get started with Amber Heard's testimony. Now, in the course of her testimony, I used a point system, and whenever I thought Amber Heard lost a point to her credibility, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, I put a minus. Twice, I thought Amber Heard gained a little bit in her credibility, and to be honest and fair, I wanted to give her credit for those as well.
Depp hit you in the face multiple times while he was wearing rings on this occasion, correct?
Now you're going to watch Amber Heard doing something that really destroyed her credibility for no reason at all. She's going to be argumentative over something that she herself has already testified to, over things that she herself believes. There was no reason to do that, but I think it lost her some credibility.
Which occasion in March are you referencing? You weren't.
The testimony that you gave on day 15 of this trial, March of 2013. You weren't specific as to the day.
There were several incidents.
The one where he hit you several times in the face.
There were sorry, just so I understand better, there were several incidents in March. Which one are you asking me about?
The time that he hit you several times in the face wearing rings.
Well, he pretty much
March 2013.
Right. What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
He was wearing rings on that occasion?
Here, I thought Amber lost another point for being unnecessarily confused. This is not something complex. All Camille Vasquez is trying to do is to get Amber Heard to say, yes, I personally have made the argument that Johnny Depp hit me in the face and Johnny Depp wears rings. That's all Camille Vasquez is trying to do. She's not trying to take this further.
I pretty much always knew him to wear rings.
You see what I mean there? Because this wasn't even anything that Amber Heard had to disagree with. Amber Heard now says, I always knew him to wear rings. This was an easy point. The fact that it took a while for her to admit what she clearly knew to be the case harmed her credibility.
You testified that this is a picture you took after that incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that was one where he grabbed me.
And hit you in the face so many times that you don't remember. Isn't that correct?
What Camille Vasquez is doing here is confirming what Amber Heard absolutely must admit because she herself has already testified to it. She has to admit that. She's already said it to the jury. And that's not even Camille Vasquez's real question. That's why it was so pointless to argue about it. Camille Vasquez is headed to something else. She's circling into her real question.
Correct.
That's correct.
And there's no injuries to your face in this picture, are there?
Not that this picture shows.
Now, this is a point that Amber Heard lost that Camille Vasquez planned. Amber Heard sort of self-sabotaged on the others, but on this one, there is in fact a contradiction between the physical evidence, the photograph that Amber Heard had, and testimony that she's giving. The physical evidence shows a bruise to Amber Heard's arm, but her testimony was that Johnny Depp hit her in the face repeatedly, and there's no bruising to the face. So it's not as if Amber Heard simply can't bruise. There is a bruise. It's just not anything that correlates to the testimony that she gave.
And there's no medical records reflecting that you sought treatment after this alleged incident either.
I did not seek medical treatment at this time.
So there's no medical records reflecting any injuries to your face after he hit you several times.
Camille Vasquez's point is not just that the photograph contradicts what Amber testified to, but it's that there's something missing. There should be a medical record with very serious injuries, such as she would have incurred. There ought to be medical records, and there are none.
I did not need to go to the doctor at the time.
Despite hitting you several times that you lost count with rings on his fingers.
For this one, I thought Amber Heard lost maybe a half point extra on her credibility. It's a repetitive question by Camille Vasquez, but it's driving home the point that the testimony was about very serious injuries.
That's correct. I did not seek medical attention, other than my therapist.
I thought Amber Heard lost a full point on her credibility for the fact that these alleged injuries occurred while Johnny Depp was wearing rings. And everyone has seen Johnny Depp's rings. He wore a couple in the courtroom. They're very large, bulky, heavy metal, and would have created injuries. So most people would believe that. In addition, Amber Heard herself had testified to that sort of injury.
Testified to another incident in March of 2013, where Mr. Depp hit you while he was wearing a lot of rings. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
And you testified you felt like your lip went through your teeth and it got a little blood on the wall.
Yes, I remember that.
Amber Heard's testimony here is extremely graphic and specific. It's not just that she was hurt, but that her lip went through her teeth and that blood got on the wall. Again, a sort of graphic, very physical injury that would have been shown in the photos and yet was not.
There isn't a picture of you with injuries after that alleged incident, is there?
I don't know if I've seen one. I can't recall. There are a lot of pictures.
You didn't produce any photographs of that alleged incident, did you?
Again, here's a self-inflicted injury where Amber Heard is simply refusing to admit what's really clear, which is that there was a missing photograph. That while people might have thought, given all the other photographs, there would be one of this, there's not.
I don't know if I took one or if it's included. I'm not quite sure which ones.
You didn't show any pictures to this jury.
Of course, there is a loss of credibility, a loss of a point to Amber because of the fact that there isn't a photograph. But the fact that Amber Heard wouldn't admit it made it even worse.
After describing that alleged incident, that your lip went into your teeth. You don't remember that, right? You didn't show any pictures to this jury after describing that incident, right?
I don't believe I've seen that picture admitted.
That picture doesn't exist.
Here, Amber Heard hurt her own credibility by waiting so long to admit what is now apparent to the jury, which is that there isn't a photograph.
I don't know which one you're talking about. We have pictures from March 2013, yes.
There's just a feeling here with the way she's testifying that Amber is hiding something. If she had such a photograph, why wouldn't she show it to the jury? What would be the reason for holding that back?
The only picture that you've produced and shown to this jury is the one that was just put up on the screen, where you said he hit you multiple times in the face, and you appear to have what is a bruise on your arm, correct?
I believe this is the only picture that's in evidence right now.
Notice how very late she is to admit this. And even so, she doesn't admit that the photograph doesn't exist, merely that it's not in evidence, as if it exists somewhere out there and her team just failed to use it.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Ms. Heard?
That's why I'm wearing makeup, right?
Here, Amber Heard loses another point on her credibility because of the fact that there are photographs that seem to contradict what she's saying. She's alleging these very severe injuries to her face, and yet the photographs show flawless skin with absolutely no problems.
And makeup covers up swelling, right?
Makeup will not cover up swelling.
Here, I thought Amber Heard gave herself some credibility by admitting something. Finally, she admitted that the makeup would not cover swelling. That was something that finally gave her a little bit of credibility because she was admitting the things that she had no choice but to admit. It was a trick question, just in the sense that one where she could trip herself up, not that it was an inappropriate question, but it was a question where she could have tripped herself up and she didn't. She went ahead and answered in a way that was more credible?
Ice swelled out.
Ice will cover up swelling?
Ice reduces swelling. Normally, the swelling after that kind of injury is not as bad as might imagine. And for me, it wasn't that bad. I have a picture of it underneath the makeup. That's how I know how to reference it.
Although Amber Heard admitted the part about the makeup not covering swelling, all of this argument about the ice goes too far. And so I thought she lost some of what she had gained to her credibility.
A picture you haven't produced or
I
shipped to
did.
this jury, right, Miss Heard?
I produced everything.
But you haven't shown it to this jury.
I would very much like to. It's not my job.
This was one of the most damaging things to Amber Heard in the entire line. First of all, instead of saying, I did or didn't show it to the jury, as the question had asked her to do, she says, I produced everything. That's not the point. The point is what she showed the jury, not whether she gave it to Johnny Depp's side. Then the second thing is, it's simply not believable that if her side had an amazing photograph that made their case, that they would just choose not to show it to the jury. That's just not believable. Therefore, there must not be such a photograph.
You went to see Dr. Kipper's office a couple days later.
That's right. He wasn't in the office.
This is your medical record for December 17th, 2015, isn't it, Miss Heard?
That's correct.
And this record doesn't document any physical injuries on you, does it?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I spoke to Kipper. I didn't speak to Kipper that day. And
Amber Heard hurt her credibility again with this testimony because the question has nothing to do with whether she saw Dr. Kipper himself. This is a question about whether or not this medical record made by someone in Kipper's office shows that she has these injuries, or whether, in fact, she didn't report these injuries when she went to Kipper's office, whether it was Kipper personally that she saw or whether it was an RN.
But you went to Dr. Kipper's office and were seen, correct?
I went to Dr. Kipper's office for a concussion check.
Right. Okay. And this medical record is from that visit, correct?
Partially, yes.
Scroll down, please, if we could. The signature Kipper down below. This is the entirety of the medical record, right, Miss Heard?
Yes, what I meant by partial is I didn't talk about what happened to me. I didn't get into my injuries. I didn't get into what happened or ask for anything other than should I get some sort of scan done.
But this record doesn't document any physical injuries on you, does it?
Now, the simple fact that Amber Heard had not reported this physical injury to the doctor when she went or to anyone on his staff when she went was already damaging. But now she is inflicting a second wound on herself, a double wound, because she's arguing about it in a way that doesn't even make sense or help her with her credibility.
I'd have to read it in full, but I don't know.
Well, let's do that.
Amber Heard here is arguing that, oh, well, maybe it's in the medical record and I just have forgotten about it. That isn't very believable in this context, but I didn't think it actually ended up harming Amber because she does find something in the course of looking at the document that I think she used successfully to add one point.
You could please go, well, under skin on the second page. It reads intact, normal color, moisture, hair distribution, texture, turgor. No signs of, oh, this is going to be hard, cyanosis, mottling.
It also says I'm a well-nourished male.
Right. I have no idea what that means.
That was a place where I felt like Amber Heard actually scored a point. I thought that helped her credibility. She pointed out that these medical records do have at least one mistake, which is they call Amber Heard a well-nourished male. Therefore, the doctor got at least one thing wrong. That was helpful to Amber Heard. You can't say for any witness that that's all positive or all negative. It just would never be that way. But overall, as you can see, Amber Heard is not doing well in this testimony. But I thought she did have a little bit of a credibility boost because of that.
I think this medical record's missing a lot of things.
Yeah. It doesn't document any physical injuries.
Doesn't seem to be documenting it.
Probably because there was nothing to document, right, Miss Heard?
I disagree with you on that.
Camille Vasquez has now had Amber Heard admit that there was nothing in the medical record that would support her claim of a physical injury by Johnny Depp. hurting Amber Heard's credibility even more. Overall, I felt like she lost at least 14 points that were made by Camille Vasquez during the course of just this limited amount of testimony. That loss of credibility is what ultimately hurt Amber Heard. It's not the only place where Amber Heard lost credibility. You are definitely going to want to watch this video about how Amber Heard lost credibility because of the fact that she brought a photograph of Johnny Depp with ice cream in his lap. And you're going to see how Johnny Depp's team turned that from what might have been a win for Amber Heard into what was really devastating testimony against Amber Heard.